A Long Way to Paradise is my 2015 release. It was recorded live at the Arizona State Fair in October of 2014. That was the first major show I did following the death of my son, Frisco. I chose to edit the concert and use it as a bootleg of my own work instead of going into the studio to re-record each song and make it sound all nice and pretty, for several reasons. One, just to do something different and experimental. Two, I would think a little bit of laziness on my part. But more than anything, I just wanted to capture the event. If you watch the videos of the event, it's a type of aggression and passion that you only capture the one time, and I didn't want to recreate it. I just wanted to capture it and call it a day and start working on all new songs, because this record's mostly cover songs or repeats of some of my songs, or some of the songs that I'd written previously that never made it on a record. The title track, A Long Way to Paradise, comes from the title track Be My Lover, which is an Alice Cooper song that I've loved since I was a kid. Of course, Alice Cooper's been a massive influence on me. Thus, it was time to record one of his songs. I revisited Psychotic, which of course was the title track of one of my own records, but a song I've rarely done live. And I got to do a bang-up version of Elvis's Baby Let's Play House. I don't know if I said this previously when I've talked about the song, but my first exposure to the song was actually through Rachel Sweet, who was a new wave artist in the 70s. She's now a TV producer and responsible for a lot of your favorite shows, but she was easily one of the greatest singers I've ever heard, and she was a kid at the time, and I met her, and it was really neat. I met her the day after I met Chrissie Hynde of the Pretenders on their first tour. Back to back I met them, and I had them both sign my Converse All-Stars. Yeah. I've been doing When Love Dies as an acoustic song for a very long time. For a very long time, since before the record came out. And I've always liked the acoustic version of it. It's one of the few songs that I do that I think the acoustic version holds up to the recorded band sound version of the song. And I'm very happy with the song acoustically, and I was thrilled to finally get it recorded and captured on film and captured on record. One of my favorite songs I've written, to be honest. It's just a good old breakup song, and I love Lou Reed, and we lost him recently, and I thought it was time for me to do Vicious. Love every song that man wrote, and I loved his work with Metallica. I'm Sorry, I loved it. Two great tastes that taste great together. He was like my earthly godfather, mentor. His music communicated to me that my feelings matter, and that I need to communicate my heart, my soul, honestly, truthfully, and clearly in my work, no matter what anybody thinks about it. And how much more can an artist gain from another artist than that? I wrote Partners in Crime in my 20s for a concept album I was working on at the time, and it was originally inspired by Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. And I don't know if that snort made it onto this, but that was my dog letting you know he was now in the room. Is he not the cutest thing? Look at that. I don't know if I'm holding it right. Hard to do. There we go. Got my dog and my cat on my bed. The dog's Ace and the cat's Johnny, and now they're rich and famous like their papa. Partners in Crime developed into a killing spree song over the years, and it's one of my favorites. I did it for Hotter Than Your Mama, and now I have a musical version of it here, and definitely one of my favorite songs to sing. And Trust Me was also written in that period as well, and it grew to be a staple in one of my shows, and other artists have done it. And I finally recorded, an acoustic version of it. The new song on this record, written for the record, is Two Broken Men, which is the gayest thing I've ever done. And Two Broken Men is about the obvious. Two guys that have been through hell that find each other and find peace and love, and I pray that one day it's a song that is true in my experience for the rest of my life. Till then, it's a great fucking song. I dabble in songs from Real Man after that. I'm looking at a list, by the way. I don't know the order of this record. I recorded it, and that was it. I listened to it the other day, though. I will say that I've received complaints about excuse me, I have a show tonight, and I just did the neti pop. Now my nose is all gurgly and runny. That was a good time to film this. I've had complaints about the sound quality of the record, and I know it's challenging at the very least, but it's honest. And just deal with it. I dabble in some songs from Real Man. Real Man certainly put me on the map, gave me some fame and credibility and a couple bucks, and paved the way for me to be able to do whatever I want after that. And notice I avoid doing Real Man on this record, but I did Gambling Dreams and Secrets and Take a Bow. Gambling Dreams was a huge coffee house song for me. When I was doing the coffee house circuit, I played Gambling Dreams a lot because I was able to do it as a rock song. And on Real Man, it's kind of a disco song, which I love. I love the sounds on Real Man. It was nice to do Gambling Dreams different, and to extend it in the Rolling Stones Shattered portion, and capture that finally, because I've done it so many times live, and improvised, and at the State Fair, the improvisation section turned out better than I could have ever dreamed possible. And Secrets is my most requested song, I'm sure. Nobody knows this, but the Paisley you're looking at right now has no intention of ever performing it again. I have written all new songs, and my life is clearly before and after since the loss of my son, and I've done these songs to death. I've had 10 great years, 22 records. It's time for all new material from my all new life. So I'm working on a new record now, currently titled It's Time. And it's bleak and it's harsh and profane and just the way I like it. And so it was nice to capture secrets one more time. And Take a Bow. Take a Bow is one of the most problematic songs I've ever written. I was sick as a dog when it was recorded, but we got a really cool sound, and I love it on Real Man. I love the song. I love the anger of the song, and doing it as a punk song was deliriously dreamy for me, and I've enjoyed it so many times at shows, and it was great to capture it at the State Fair. I love the video of it, and Look at Me, I'm Your Baby was written for Typhoid Mary, and when I went to record it in the studio, for those in the know, Typhoid Mary was one of my a cappella records, where pitch matters, and when I went to record Look at Me, I'm Your Baby, for the life of me I couldn't remember how it went. I just choked on it, and then I looked at how much I'd recorded for Typhoid Mary and realized the record was finished. So I had this great song, a really strong song is what I call a great song, as opposed to whether or not I'm judging my own material. I just thought it was very strong, and so I just kind of held on to it, and I did it at the State Fair because I've done it live a few times, and it was scheduled to be on my next record, It's Time, but I like the acoustic version of it enough to call it a day with the song and say, we've captured it, and it's there, and we've done it, and we've done it enough. Maria McKee of Lone Justice fame, but even better, Maria McKee fame, has been so gracious to allow me to record her songs whichever I see fit, however I see fit. And when I was doing the State Fair, I didn't realize that this was going to be the high point of the show, but it became a very dramatic moment in the show. And I combine Sweet Baby, I'm Falling, which is literally my favorite love song of all time, and their Lone Justice breakout hit, Ways to Be Wicked by Tom Petty, which I think is just vicious and flawless lyrically. Lou Reed should have written it. Patti Smith should have written it. Tom Petty has won me over for life as a songwriter because of this song. And it's amazing how as time goes by and years pass, when you revisit some of the people that you kind of overlook along the way, how enduring their work is. And nobody I can point to more than Tom Petty, how much his music has mattered throughout the years. Even though I was never a big fan, I certainly am now. Wow. I wrote The Will to Live a long time ago for a record I recorded that you've never heard a long time ago. And I don't know if you're ever going to hear that record. It's pretty fucking amazing, but I'm not really sure I'm not sure I'm legally allowed to share it, but if I ever find out I have a terminal disease, I'm probably going to release everything that I have and say, oh well, come after me. But The Will to Live is my fuck off song, and I love it. I don't know. If I didn't write it, I'd be just going on and on about how clever it was, but it's not cool to do that. But of all the stuff I've written, and we're talking thousands of songs, this is one of my best, in my opinion, and one of my most defining songs as far as my songwriting style and my three-chord rockness, and how much that one record by the Sex Pistols literally ignited so much inside me. You know, between the Sex Pistols and Patti Smith, that rock thing goes crazy in me. Goes crazy in me when it comes to these snarly, snarky, sarcastic tell-off songs. And what I love about The Will to Live, if you don't mind me bragging some more about myself, is it reveals someone who's screaming a tell-off, but right underneath it you could feel there's a tremendous amount of pain and loss and the agony of rejection. And Ain't Love Grand? I recorded Science Fiction Double Feature Reprise. I really did the whole song at the show, and part 1 and part 2 at different points of the show, and only part 2 ended up on the record. That's how I roll. Call it art for art's sake, but gosh, at some point I gotta pay tribute to the Rocky Horror Picture Show. In reality, it's the Rocky Horror Show. I go all the way back to the Roxy record. My brother had it, and this was the best music I'd ever heard. I didn't understand what any of it was. I was like 10, but I wanted to be a transvestite when I grew up, that's for sure. If I could look, act, and sound like Tim Curry. And when people compare me to that, I mean, I'm so flattered, because wow, what a beautiful, original, singular vocal talent. And when he put out his own records, oh my gosh, they were fantastic. I saw him in concert a few times and met him, and fantastic artist. So it was time to pay tribute to Rocky Horror, and of course I had no interest in doing Sweet Transvestite. However, there is a quickie video of me doing that on YouTube somewhere. I did it during sound check. It has a great riff to it. It's really fun to play on the guitar. Does God sleep? Does God sleep? I can count on one hand minus fingers how many times I compromised with anyone around my music. Meaning, someone said, I really think you shouldn't do this like this, and I did what they wanted me to do more than what I wanted to do. And that was the case with Does God Sleep. I was being recorded by Weston, who was Southern Baptist minister, and we were in his church, in his office, in his studio, and I knew he was uncomfortable with me saying shit, even though that was the exact phrase that my mom said to me that I repeated in the song. And so I changed the words in the original recording of Does God Sleep, even though at the very end of the song, if you listen very carefully, you can hear it one time. But I always swore if I had a chance, I would record a version of Does God Sleep with the real words. And here's the real words. And this is the only song that I went back and did overdubs on, and on this record. And if you listen to the record, of course, you'll know why. It's very clear what my intent was. And again, I've done these songs to death, and I love them. Does God Sleep, the whole record, changed my life, made my life better, and made my kids' life better. And Does God Sleep is certainly the epitome of Paisley. The first 10 years, there's no question about it. The song, the Patti Smith reference, the overlapping recording, the talking, the growling, all of it. I'm so glad I recorded that record. I'm so glad I recorded that song. I'm so glad I wrote that song. It was prophetic for me, because my mom hadn't even died yet. And of course, the record ends with a reprise of Be My Lover, so I can have my Star Search moment. I really love this record. I am so grateful for Don Maloney, for walking me through the technical processes I had to implement to edit this record myself. I've been working with him on half my records, and you know, he knew I wanted to do this one at home quietly in my sadness and grief, and I did. And I'm sorry for the sound quality, but I'm not sorry for the sound quality. I just, you know, not everything has to sound the same. I've never had two records sound the same. I've never had the same sound quality on two records. And my next records are going to be different. They're going to upset people and bring new people toward me. That's how it goes. That's rock and roll. And I'm just so glad I'm a part of it. I'm so glad for all the artists that I pay tribute to here on this record, and I'm so grateful for all the influences I've had along the way musically. And you know, we've lost a lot of people that I love, and in my life and in my history of influence, and to pay tribute by doing their songs, or to pay tribute by their influence, or to pay tribute by being an individual, self-thinking, uncompromising, fallible artist. Again, pretty fucking incredible. God bless you. I'm done. I did my own selfie video. I've never done this before. I've been staring at myself for 22 minutes. I'm kind of cute. I wish I could date me. I'd be good to me. Bye.